There you go. We're live. Yes, sir.
I keep forgetting your phone number so I can get the pictures for Joseph.
Okay. 361 219
219
8744. Yes.
I put that name. What was the number again?
Diego Vasquez.
And I was trying to. Last time when I saw you at the school, I think it was graduation last year.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, what was his number again? I forget.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Where am I now? Israel. Help me find it. I need to find my Zoom screen.
Right there.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not showing up, but it's there.
All right. Okay, that's it. Okay, don't move it. Don't move it, Diego. Don't move it. This is a test. This is a test. Yes, I'll give you the same one that you changed the thing. Yeah. You give me a statement. You have this. It's looking better, isn't it? How you doing?
Good.
It's 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. I call this regular meeting of the Kingsville Independent School District. This time we'll have roll call vote. Mr. Brian Kufal. Here. Lieutenant Colonel Price. Yes. Mr. David R. Garcia. Here. Ms. Elizabeth Ramos.
Here.
Mr. James Calusi.
Here.
Mr. Salinas.
Here.
Mr. Corey Garza is here. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present. That this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move now to the moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance and the Texas pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
This meeting will be live video streamed at http://bit.ly/3SROLQR. This time we move to item number 4, the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? For a second? Been moved and seconded. Been made by Mr. Brian Kufal, seconded by Mr. Price. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Or say nay. Motion carries on a 7-0 to adopt the agenda. This time we move to item number 5, public participation. At this time, do we have anybody to address the board participants? Okay. So at this time we have a recording from a citizen by the name of Esl Mendoza. Topic: electromagnetic and hypersensitivity. Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Esl Mendoza, and my phone number is 956-583-7012. I have been homebound for more than 10 years with electricity, electrohypersensitivity, EHS, which is caused and aggravated by exposure to sensitive microwave radiation reaching children and teachers at school. I have been violently ill several times. I was sleep deprived and afraid all the time. Every day is exposure. This is a horrible way to die. My EHS recognize my fatal stages in my with a physical medical condition, disability, and proves conclusively exposure to radiation beyond severe harm and disabilities, and that exposing children to microwave radiation defeats the purpose of education. It is estimated that more than 50% of the population is already suffering symptoms of electrosensitivity. Children, teachers, doctors, attorneys, and even the director of the World Health Organization are suffering from EHS. We are the evidence.org. Despite the cases reaching pandemic proportions, most doctors are in the dark on the line. They continue misdiagnosing and mistreating drugs and invasive procedure symptoms that disappear, which is reduced to microwave radiation. A new firm filed a federal lawsuit on how cell phones used by your children emit more than 5 times the levels allowed by federal law for individual doses of radiation among the 30 safety limits causes harm even if resulting in strong adults. And several firms are warning school officials of the potential school and criminal ability to expose children and their study to harm microwave radiation from an expensive wired internet is available. clusters electrosensitivity is normalized register systems that are going to neurological systems, which are symptoms of the electrosensitivity spelling by an organ symptoms for attacking stroke, rashes and loss of skin, fever, nausea symptoms, and stomach irritation, hearing, memory, speed, concentration, and breathing problems. Pressure, seizures, paralysis from consciousness, not monitoring movements, fatigue, weakness, muscle injury, pain, painful cramps, numbness to pain, lungs and blisters, dehydration, altered blood sugar levels in persons with blood miscarriages and birth defects. Scientific studies prove most doctors are confronting the symptoms of electrosensitivity with other illnesses, ADHD, dyslexia, PTSD, cerebral attack and stroke, multiple sclerosis, hypertension, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, diabetes, and depression and suicidal tendencies of the people. But the request to protect the children submitted to the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Education, Dr. Miguel Ferran, Ladies and gentlemen, your prompt response to this evidence can save the lives of children and teachers and avoid defenseless and suspected victims. Thank you very much for giving serious consideration to this matter. Respectfully, your members.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This time we'll move into item number 6, communication from administration. And before we move on, we've got quite a few, but again, there's going to be some recognitions going on. Again, on behalf of the Kingsville School District Board of Trustees, we want to again thank each and every one of you all that are going to get recognized. But most importantly, you all as parents, for giving us the opportunity to let these come in and be part of this great district rep. So again, thank you again as we get going to go to the recognitions. But again, most importantly, thank you to parents and guardians for believing in everything that you and all these different organizations that are fixing to get ready.
Okay, thank you. This is exciting. We do have many students here that are going to get recognized. And we have a holding room, a couple of holding rooms to make sure we're staying as socially distant as possible. The first we're going to recognize are from the science fair, and I'd like to call up Dr. Farah, who's going to say a few words about that.
Good evening, Board President Garza, board members, Dr. Perez, and community members. It is my pleasure to announce our district science fair winners, and they also went to our regional coastal bend science fair. The science fair was held virtually this year, and they did an amazing job with the changes to the science fair. So let's get started. In kindergarten, we had our first place winner, Jose Cantu from Fedez Elementary. What is a flower's favorite drink? In first grade, first place winner, Madeline Cantu from Fedez Elementary, Colorful Flowers. Second place was Gloria Chen from Fedez Elementary. What temperature killed the daisies first? Third place was Arnold Fedez from Fedez. How about them apples? In second grade, our first place winner was Brentley Appleby from Clayburg Elementary, Flying with Brentley. In third grade, our first place winner was Bradley Davila from Fedez. Can face mask lower oxygen levels? In fourth grade, our first place winner was Mercedes Zapata from Harold, Skin as Pretty as a Rose. In second place, it was Elijah Rodriguez from Clayburg Elementary, Elephant Toothpaste. And in third place, it was Jose Cruz from Clayburg, Cleaning Pennies. And finally, at Gillette Intermediate, in first place, Evelyn Lovelady with Which Cleaner Works Best? In second place, Alexa Lopez, Poppin' Popcorn, and Joseph Pavon. Does helium affect the height of a ball bounce? So those are all of our science fair members. Not all of them were able to attend, but we celebrate the ones that are here. So congratulations. They did receive certificates certificates and ribbons earlier in the year. So congratulations, you guys. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any sponsors?
Our ITCs and Brian Smith from Gillette Intermediate.
You'll have any more juice on them. I want to do it on me. Yes. Thank you. Good job. I would say it.
Okay, the next recognitions we're gonna do are for the local and district UIL academic meet results. Mr. Singh,
Yes, Mr. Singh and I are partners, and I'm going to be calling the names, and he has organized the students. For our local UIL oral reading, this was coached by Vanessa Longoria, and if she's here, please come on up with the students. In grade 2, in first place, Nevea Espinosa. In second place, Benji Denon, and in third place, Malik Shelton. Our third graders, in first place, Ramiro Garcia, and in second place, Carolee Garcia. Our fourth graders, in first place, Alberto Ibarra, and in second place, Sofia Rodriguez.
Any sponsors?
Yes, Ms. Longoria.
I'm sorry. One more. Thank you.
Okay, we have our district UIL academic meet, and it was for 2nd through 8th grade. So our first category is art, coached by Cassandra Alvarez, Amy Caceres, and Leticia Tatum. In 4th grade, 7th place, Jacob Elizondo Jr. In 4th grade, 7th place, Jose Cruz. In 4th grade, 7th place, Sule Ramirez. And in 4th grade, 10th place, Camille Devon. In 5th grade, 1st place, Beatrice Rivera. And in 5th grade, 4th place, Mia Torres. If the art sponsors are here, you could come up and join the group.
Thank you.
Our next category is chess puzzles, coached by Dalia Almanza, Melissa Perez Estrada, Juan Merino, and Yesenia Nieto. In 2nd grade, 6th place, Malik Shelton. In 3rd grade, 2nd place, David Calderon III. In 3rd grade, 9th place, Hayden in 4th grade, 10th place, Carlos Ramirez. 8th grade, 2nd place, Julian Garcia. Sixth grade, fifth place, Zachary Vasquez. These are seventh graders. In third place, Melody Silva. In sixth place, Sophia Rivera. And in sixth place, Elizabeth Lovelady. Overall, our team took fifth place, and that was Joey Hinojosa and David Calderon III. Congratulations. Okay, for impromptu speaking, coached by Laura Munoz. Our eighth grade students in sixth place, Cristela Rojas, and in eighth place, Robert Salas. And the sponsor can come up if Ms. Munoz is here.
Thank you.
For listening skills, coached by Corey Cardenas. In seventh grade, seventh place, Melody Silva. Well, I was waiting to see if Mr. C. Okay, are we ready for maps, graphs, and charts? All right, maps, graphs, and charts. Coached by Dalia Almanza, I'm sorry, I keep saying that wrong, and Sierra Salinas. Fourth grade, third place, Jeffrey Cooper, and fifth grade, eighth place, Evelyn Lovelady. There was a third place for Miranda Mora, Abigail Michelle, and Selena De Los Santos. Congratulations for maps, graphs, and charts. For our team results, they're on the team. They took third place. If the coaches would like to come up or the sponsors, that would be great.
Thank you.
Great job. Okay, we have modern oratory coached by Tanya Williams, and these are our eighth grade students. In fifth place, Adriana Donawicka. In sixth place, Sarah Hallett, and in seventh place, Riley Mitchell. Music memory, coached by Laura Munoz, Raul Perez, and Dalia Ramirez. Third grade, sixth place, Joey Hinojosa. Fourth grade, seventh place, Eric Cavazos. Fifth grade, seventh place, Angelica Lopez. Also in fifth grade and seventh place, Cheyenne Poole. In eighth grade, first place, Alexander Ibanez. In second place, Cruz Fuentes. And in third place, Cristela Rojas. Coaches, would y'all like to come up? Yes. Sponsors, yes, perfect. Thank you. Congratulations. Number 10, coached by Linda Mendieta. They're all fourth graders, and in fifth place, Abigail Mitchell. In sixth place, Sophia Rodriguez, and in sixth place, Kaylin Mendieta. Also, third place and as a team, third place as a team. Congratulations for number 10. So real quick, while we wait, I'm going to jump back to science fair because I'm so excited that one of our students did show up with Mr. Brian Smith here. He is the sponsor, and we have as our second place winner, Alexa Lopez in fifth grade. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Okay, back to UIL, and we are with Ready Writing, coached by Victoria Lopez and Lisa Salinas. In fourth grade, fourth place, Jasenia Avalar, and in eighth grade, fifth place, Tanya Rosales. Congratulations if you're watching from home. For spelling, coached by Joanne Garcia and Yvonne Gonzalez. In third grade, second place, Alana Garza. And in third grade, fifth place, Jamie Samuel. We had a sixth place team result for David Calderon, Alexandra Butler, and Kaylee Achoa. Congratulations. Congratulations. For eighth grade social studies, I do not believe the student is here, but they received eighth place, Christian Gonzalez. And we also had coached by Juan Mesa. And we had storytelling coached by Kimberly Ochoa. In third grade, third place, Maya Zuniga. And in third grade, seventh place, Kaylee Ochoa. We'd like to give a big thank you to all of our UIL coordinators, Susana Cruz, Sierra Salinas, Linda Mendieta, Cindy Sanchez, and Lisa Salinas. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. We appreciate it. What a successful UIL. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to high school UIL. Oh, wait, sorry. Good.
Make sure you get good at started.
We are very proud of our UIL. They've done a great job, and thank you to all of our sponsors again. Okay. For accounting, coached by Maria Moreno Silva, 8th place, Alberto Benavides. Computer applications, coached by Maria Silva, in 5th place, Alberto Benavides. And computer science, coached by Maria Moreno Silva, 5th place, Alberto Benavides. Copy editing, coached by Richard Amaraz, 6th place, Kendall Barrera. Current issues and events, coached by Mr. Rios Jr. in 7th place, Jada Davila. Feature writing, coached by Mr. Rios Jr. in 6th place, Lashandra Hallett. Literary criticism, coached by Stephen Chapa, 7th place, Robert Murphy. Mathematics, coached by Dalia Rivera, in 7th place, Alice Ariano. Number sense, coached by Dalia Rivera, in 6th place, Alice Ariano. Persuasive speaking, coached by Ryan Scarborough, in 4th place, Catherine DeSantos. He's also a region alternate. Poetry interpretation, coached by Sean Cooper, in 4th place, Catherine DeSantos, a region alternate. In 7th place, Valerie Sanchez, and in 8th place, Avery Ruff. If the sponsors are here, please come up. Congratulations. Our next group, Prose Interpretation, coached by Sean Cooper. In 6th place, Nadia Hernandez. In 8th place, Matthew Nicholas. For Ready Writing, coached by Stephen Chapa. In 5th place, Jada Davila. For Social Studies, coached by, that's Jada Davila. In Social Studies, coached by Mr. Rios. In 3rd place, Jada Davila, and she advanced to region. In 4th place, Sandra Hallett, and she is our region alternate. Sandra Hallett. Congratulations. Our speech team placed 3rd, and the team members are Catherine DeSantos, Nadia Hernandez, Avery Russ, Valerie Sanchez, and Matthew Nicholas. Our journalism team also took 3rd place, and the team members are Kendall Barrera and Lashandra Hallett. And we had 1 act play. Directed and coached by Sean Cooper. Antigone Now by Melissa Cooper. 4th place, and they were an alternate to by district. So the members are Jillian Vincent, All-Star Cast. Dana Dollywall, All-Star Cast. Robert Murphy, Honorable Mention, All-Star Cast. Tiana DeGray, Avery Russ, Valerie Sanchez, David Juarez, Outstanding Tech Crew, Kendall Barrera, Jacqueline Garcia, Hayden Britton, Matthew Nicholas, and Isabel Louise. Congratulations. And sponsors, please come up so you can be with your students. Congratulations and thank you.
Our next guest we're going to be honored is H.M. King High School Army JROTC. Can you hear me? Yes. The HMP High School Army JROTC Mighty Braver Battalion.
Can we kind of keep it down the back? We still have recognition. Thank you.
They earned honor unit with distinction status during the JROTC program for accreditation inspection as evaluated by 5th Brigade inspectors Mr. Johnny Carr and Ms. Teresa Agu on Thursday, April the 8th. The H.M. King High School Army JROTC program was evaluated in the following areas: continuous improvement presentation, service learning presentation, cadet portfolios and interviews, instructor portfolios and interviews, and the H.M. King High School Army JROTC received a 97 score on the overall GPA. Which is one that has demonstrated exceptional performance in all areas of programs. Therefore, they received a gold star status for the program by U.S. Army Cadet Command 5th Brigade. The following cadets put in a tremendous amount of time and effort to achieve such a feat: Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Scott Hankey, Battalion Commander; Cadet Major Tassi Guerrero, Executive Officer; Cadet Commander Sergeant Major Robert Murphy; Cadet Captain Jennifer Pluck, S1 Personnel; Cadet Captain Jonas Cruz, S2 Security; Cadet Major Mark Garcia, S3 Training and Operations; Cadet Captain Dylan Guerra, 6-4 Supply; Cadet Captain Cadence Holmes, Public Affairs; Cadet Captain Anakin O'Grady, Charlie Company Commander; Cadet Sergeant Daniela O'Grady, Charlie Squad Leader; Cadet Sergeant Alex Gonzalez, Charlie Squad Leader. Cadet Private Hilton, Charlie Squad, Company Squad Cadet. Lieutenant Retired James A. Troya, Senior Army Instructor. And a Senior Retirement Carlos Camacho, yes, Carlos Camacho, Army Instructor. And that is the whole team.
Particularly noteworthy was they got the Gold Star back. From 1993 to 2018, they've only been Gold Stars. 3 years ago, the Gold Star was lost. So this, is a tank man here? No. Okay, well, that's good, Murphy, because he saved you from having to take all the crap from your sister, because his sister was the last battalion commander to get the Gold Star. So that's a significant thing. And it's a once every 3 years thing, so you don't get a chance to make it up next year. So that's a significant thing, because
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to 6E, recognition of H.M. Kings High School Unified Champion Track Team that can be found on page 11 of your board book. Dr. Pettis and Coach Mandela.
Okay, Coach Davila is going to have the honor of calling this now.
good afternoon, President Garza, Superintendent Pettis, members of the board. I have the pleasure of recognizing our H.M. King High School Unified Champion Track Team. Some background information on this. We are the UIL area champions, UIL regional champions, UIL state qualifiers. We were 10th place overall. KISD was the first and only district in the South to run off a unified track meet to advance our student athletes to the regional and state competitions. This is amazing because we jumped on, we got some information from UIL, from the unified team, and we made it happen. And it's a pleasure to introduce these kids. First, our athletes, Joshua Carrillo, Darian Mulligan, Samuel Resendez, Jaden Silguero, Jose Silguero, Rohan Charania, and our coaches, Michelle Corrales, Melissa Gonzalez, Ismael Villa, and Ed Gonzalez.
And now Coach Davila is going to recognize the H.M. King High School track team.
Thank you, Dr. Pettis. Okay, our high school track team, and these are the following student athletes. They competed in the district track meet, which was on April 5th and April 7th in Alice. And these athletes advanced to the area meet in La Feria on April the 15th. So I'll announce their names and the events that they advanced in. For the boys, Elisha Garza, he advanced in the 4x400 meter relay. Jaden Montgomery, he advanced in the 200 meter dash, the 4x1 relay, and the 4x4 relay. Terrell Jackson in the 4x400 meter relay. Pedro
Cruz in the 4x1 meter relay and the 4x4 meter relay. Diego Elong in the shot put. Isaiah Glasgow in the 800 meter run and the 1600 meter run. Stephen Alanis, the 100 meter dash, the 4x100 meter relay, and the triple jump. And our girls, Miss Naeli Everett in the high jump and the 100 meter hurdle. And Miss Kiana Kiki Martinez in the shot put and discus. And our coaches, Ismail Villa, Stephen Chapa, Johnny Garza, James Jefferson, John Houston, and Dylan Heather.
Thank you all.
All right, go ahead and move on to pretty much, we have 6G, recognition of donation from the Kingsville Independent School District Education Foundation that can be found on page 13 of the book. Dr. Pettis.
Yes, we're very, very grateful that we have the Kingsville ISD Education Foundation, and they would like to present to Mr. Gregory Malater, our high school principal, with a check for $3,000. The donation is to be used for the 2021 project graduation. We would like to thank the KISD Education Foundation for their support and their generosity. Very much appreciated.
Here's for the project graduation. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you all.
Pretty much concludes number 6, communication with administration. But before we move on again, on behalf of the board, I want to thank the KISD Education Foundation. The last year, y'all have definitely stepped up and become a great partner of this district, and we're so thankful. I know we had the golf tournament that was a very big success. Also, too, I just kind of want to, now you'll be seeing this very soon. The Kingsville Education Foundation is hosting their first annual State of the District luncheon. So you'll be seeing that coming through social media, different things. Again, this is what we talk about when collaborating with different agencies to one common goal, and that's the students of Kingsville Independent School District. So again, on behalf of the board, we want to thank the Kingsville Education Foundation for all your support, and again, look forward to a great working relationship, continued relationship. So thank you again.
You know, they were outside in the other room because they're judging for applications for the scholarships that are going to be given away. They're going to be giving away $25,000 in scholarships.
All right, moving right along. Go ahead and move into item 6H, superintendent's report. That can be found on page 14 of your board book. First thing we're going to do is the Gillette School traffic study. That can be found on page 15. Dr. Sandoval. What I ask is that let the give the presenter an opportunity to finish their presentation, and then either A, bombard you with questions, or kind of refrain to the end, kind of get things moving. So I'm not trying to hold anybody back from asking questions. We just kind of wait till the end of the presentation when it comes to when it usually is done. Thank you. Dr. Zondervan.
Thank you, Board President, Mr. Garza, Board Trustees, and Dr. Pettis. I'm here to present tonight on a traffic study done at Gillette Intermediate back on March the 26th. Dr. Pettis and Mr. Segovia requested that we have a traffic study done because of the safety and concerns of student traffic. Involved in the traffic study was Mr. Segovia, myself, Matt Vera, and Jerry Torres from Gillette Intermediate. And we observed what the traffic looked like during pickup of our students there at the Gillette campus. You should have the printout on the traffic flow and then the recommendation made by the team. So,
Advance.
yes, please. The first slide, you'll see what we observed on that day, on what we see at Gillette Middle School during intermediate during a pickup. You can see that the traffic is flowing both north and south for people driving on 17th Street. You can see that well, it's kind of difficult maybe to see, but you might be able to see in your picture. The crosswalks from this Google map, they're impossible to see. There are, I think, 4 crosswalks on 17th Street. We had issues with no crosswalks being present on the pickup or drop-off lanes for students and bus, nor are there any crosswalks that we observed there at the teacher parking lot. We noticed that traffic was moving in all directions. Right there by the student pickup, you got traffic entering 17th Street and crossing the oncoming traffic going north and south and trying to get into that pickup area. You saw people coming out of the parent or student pickup going both north and south, going against traffic most times. Same thing for the bus lanes as they exited, they were going both north and south. So all those different patterns that we saw were making it very congested for the normal pickup and safety of our students there at Gillette. So after we did our observation, the team got together and we met. Diego, can you advance it? We met to discuss the concerns. And there were several concerns that were observed in that traffic study. We saw speeding vehicles in the school zone. Because the old Gillette campus was further south of 17th Street. The actual signage that we have there for the school zone are further south than the actual building is currently. There's only 3 crosswalks on 17th Street. It's actually 4. Traffic flows both north and south on 17th Street, causing congestion. Vehicles are parked on both sides of 17th Street, thus creating somewhat of traffic jams there as students are exiting. Traffic enters and exits 17th Street against the flow of traffic, causing unnecessary delays. Currently, there are no crosswalks identified in those pickup zones or teacher parking lots. Crosswalks were not being utilized by students. They were crossing at different points across the 17th Street. Again, vehicles were exiting both north and south on 17. Campus administration was directing traffic to assist students crossing the middle of 17th Street. Student pickup lane is small, unable to accommodate enough vehicles as they wait to pick up their children. And parents unaware of best practice for student safety. Those are things that we discussed and identified. Some of the recommendations that we had as a team, and we presented this to Dr. Pettis immediately after we did this the following Monday, was to request it and suggest that our SRO go and assist, on occasion there at 17th Street to prevent any speeding. And, we recommend that we only do that maybe once or twice a week so that we don't pull them from the high school or middle school too often. We want to encourage parents to utilize 17th Street as a one-way street between 7 and 8 a.m. and 3:15 and 4:15 p.m. This we cannot enforce, but we can encourage our parents to do so. We wanted to convert the areas that are crosswalks into no parking zones by placing cones in the designated areas to prevent vehicles from parking. Vehicles are parking so close to those crosswalks that it becomes a hazard for any kids that's trying to cross
and possibly, put a student at danger of getting hit. We recommend adding 6 crosswalks at the entry and exit of teacher parking and student bus pickup and drop off. Require all students to use only the crosswalks when crossing 17th Street. Designate the exit lanes for the student and the bus pickups to turn only right, exiting and going north. We did put signage on the road with an arrow saying right turn only. We suggested utilizing crosswalk monitors to safely cross students across 17th Street and switch the student pickup lane and bus pickup lanes. Because the bus pickup lane is a lot bigger, we suggested making that the student pickup lane so that we can accommodate more parents' vehicles as they wait for their child to exit the building. And then we want to distribute and communicate traffic flow maps and procedures to parents a week before implementing changes. So we also have some recommendations that we're making for the city of Kingsville and Clayburgh County, which is to assist us with patrols during that pickup and drop off time. Ask the city to retain the 3 crosswalks on 17th Street, which is actually 4. Convert the 17th Street to a northbound only during the morning and afternoon pickups and drop offs. And then convert the areas near crosswalks into no parking zones by painting the curves red. Again, these are all things that the city or county can do. That's out of our jurisdiction. The things in the middle are things that the KSD can do and have implemented some of these strategies to try to mitigate the safety concern we have at the campus. The next slide, Mr. Vasquez, just enter. Okay, it's working. Yes. Thank you, sir. Okay, the next map is these are based on the recommendations that we made. As you can see, the map does not look as congested as the initial one because the flow of traffic goes in one direction. As you can see, those red marks on 17th Street are areas that we'd like to possibly get designated as no parking zones to again alleviate kids being put in danger of crossing 17th Street to get to the avenues, Avenue A, B, and D. We are requesting, and we won't do this till possibly next year, is converting the bus and student pickups. This year, we didn't want to create any confusion with any parents, so we left the bus and student pickups as is, but we want to make that recommendation to switch those for the 21-22 school year. We have painted the crosswalks that you can see, and I don't know if I got a laser pointer here now, I don't think I do, but you can see those white lines going across left to right.
Just the one is the laser. Press the button on top.
You see these white marks right here. Those are all crosswalks that have been added already by our maintenance team. And also on those exits, we have put right turn only signs to help, with the traffic flow. We've only been doing this for about a week and a half now in terms of the new changes. I think we put it in April the 26th. Mr. Segovia did notify parents, sent out a letter, put it out in school messenger. We're going to continue to put that information out because we don't want them forgetting about the importance of student safety at Gillette Intermediate. I do have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with the city manager to just discuss our recommendations on the repaving the crosswalks and the possibility of converting 17th Street into a northbound street or one-way street during the drop-off and pickup times for the campus. So these are our recommendations and things that we've already done to try to resolve the safety concerns that we've had at that building. So at this time, we'll take any questions that you may have about the traffic study and the things that we've done to resolve the issue.
Dr. Sabah, I think it's a great thing that you and the team are taking a proactive approach into trying to alleviate some of the congestion. My question is, do we plan to do this at other campuses, Dr. Pettis?
Yes, but we wanted to start here. And Harvey, we have already pretty much done that as well. We want to see how the numbers are going to fall also we're monitoring each one, but it takes a team to really take their time to go and look at each one. This was when there was a concern that we kind of knew how to do.
And to piggyback off that, because of the fact that we knew we were combining both Gillette and Memorial next year, and Mr. Segovia said, I'm concerned about the number of kids that are going to be coming next year. It's already a concern now. We need to make sure we address this situation immediately. So that's why we took action on Gillette Intermediate.
And Harvey will be getting an influx of students.
Correct.
As well. Labor, 3 months ago, I think, so those were our first. That was one of my questions. I've also monitored Perez as well, and that's a nightmare in itself, so. This has been a huge component of mine because I've been the parent and the drop off to pick up money and like my heart sinks or is up in my throat every single day. And I've gone to the city myself and I tried to go to the county to see what I could do, and it was that hit many walls. Anyway, what is the legality of an employee standing in a city street as a crosswalk? Because I'm just wondering how that works. I've been told that, you know, anybody just can't stand in the street and stop traffic. You have to have permission from the city. Of course, that could just be smoke. So I'm just concerned about crosswalks, our own employees in the road. What's the liability on that? And do we have permission, or is there any legal ramification, you know, to be in the road and or if anything happen?
I think the crosswalks are in our property though, right? Is that correct?
The ones on 17th Street, that road is city owned, so we don't have really a say. So if we put an employee standing in the middle of the street, I believe that would be an issue with the city, because you just can't stop traffic because you want to. I think I'm not exactly sure if we have an employee in there and they get hit of a crazy driver or something like that. Who pays what and who sues who? And I think that can be confusing. I've already tried as a parent to do it myself, and I've been told, no, don't. You're on your own. So that's definitely something to raise with the city. And I don't know about the county.
That's a question that I can ask tomorrow, Ms. Ramos, when I had that conversation with the city manager. I know when I observed that initial, we did a traffic study, we did address that concern with Mr. Segovia, make sure that we didn't put personnel in the middle of the street, you know, not at a crosswalk, but just the middle of the street, because that could be a concern and a liability for the district, you know, if he or one of our students were to get hit, because we're utilizing a part of the street to cross that's not designated as an actual crosswalk.
What's the speed limit on 17 in front of the school?
It should be 25, I believe, for
It bumps down to 15 during
the
school.
So I can ask those questions tomorrow at that meeting, Mr. McLaughlin, and ask any specific questions that you guys bring up today.
I think a lot of it's good to hear, right? Mr. Farmer doesn't really concern, but I think a lot of it too is these streets are owned by the city or the state, and it pretty much ties our hands behind our back. So I think, you know, in what you said earlier, Dr. Sandoval, if you could probably get some more information tomorrow when you meet with the city manager and, you know, come back and report to the board. But again, I know that there's been a lot of times where we've worried about Brent Boulevard as far as the way the traffic flows through there, trying to bring down speed limit, speed bump, et cetera. But again, we always talk at the end of the day, it's a state highway type deal, so the state's the one. So again, the district is also most importantly, there has to be behind their back. But I know that if there's any type of safety issue that we can do on our part, we will do, and we're going to continue doing it. But if you can get that back for us.
How much of our problems can be solved with no parking signs? Not thinking specifically in front of Perez. But how many listen to it? It's clearly when you have cars parked on both sides of the street, you're encouraging kids to cross the street to go to grandma, which is an unnecessary street crossing. And it blocks, it makes an already narrow street even narrower. And simply no parking on one side. What's would that be? Bad direction.
I think signs is a great idea because every year you have to paint those, or the city has to. Who's painting them? Yeah. But if you put signs, you don't have to deal with the painting issue.
I don't think we could put a sign on their side, but on our side, I think we might be able to. But again, I think that once Dr. Sandoval has that meeting, it gives us a little bit more firepower to go back and say, okay, look, this is what we need to do. Because again, it goes back to the partnering up. And I think that if we go to the city and the county and say, hey, look, we need help. You always ask us what we needed. Now it's time for you to step up. We have an issue when it comes to parking. We're terrified that we haven't had the only unfortunately we've had a tragedy once. You know, I don't want to bring that up again. But again, we need to avoid that, but I think once the meeting happens tomorrow, those are things you can ask, the manager, then if we as a board collectively have to go and, go and move it from there, we will.
This is something that can be done, but it has to be done through the city. If the person has the same issue, with probably some of their parking lots across the street from the person, so that.
Gotta go to city commission.
Gotta go to the city commission.
According to Mr. Maddox, because he just texted me the answer, because he said he's having technical issues. Crosswalk is in conjunction with the city. Employee can be granted authority to direct traffic also without one. As for liability, we have immunity if we do it right. Safety control. Safety control.
Anything else? Yes, sir, Mr. President. Dr. Sandoval, if we get the blessing from the city and we have traffic flowing north during the school time, I think we need to get with our transportation people. 'Cause I'd hate to be turning off on the avenue, these or these with our big buses. We hit Corral and go from our route from there, just deviate to the route. And this way, the reason why I'm saying is because you're gonna have congestion already on those streets. And then you got a bigger bus traveling through there. My concern would be, that any little distraction might be able, my cousin. That's all.
No problem, sir.
Anything else when it comes to, the traffic study was done by the district?
That's good work, though. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Sandoval. This time we'll move to item 6H, District ELL program proposal for 2021-2022 school year. So that can be found on page 19 of your workbook. Dr. Farrell.
Good evening, board members. Board President and Dr. Pettit. Pulling up my presentation.
ELL?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Today we're going to discuss a proposal for a district-wide ELL program. KISD currently has a bilingual and ESL program. KISD has one or more students identified as English learners district-wide and does not exceed 20 or more identified Ls with the same language background in the same grade level district-wide. TAC 89-1205 states the district is required to offer a bilingual program or an English as a second language program. Today we're going to look at some data. So the next chart is our current data. It is all of our, there we go. It is our current data by grade level and by the primary language. So the first two columns are the number of students that have Spanish as their primary language on their home language survey. The next column over are the students who indicate another primary language. By campus, our bilingual numbers are, I have a bilingual / ESL number. So we have at Harvey Elementary 14 bilingual students and 2 ESL students. The numbers then continue all the way through Memorial and HM King, where we have 21 ESL students. So our option 1 proposal is to move to a district-wide ESL program. So there are several ways we can do that. One of the ways is an ESL Pull-Out Program. And with that, there are 3 different possibilities that we could adopt. So one of the ways that instruction can be delivered is all ESL students are with their ELAR teacher. That is the one that we are recommending. The second way that the Pull-Out program can be delivered is an additional ESL teacher / ELAR teacher course where we would pull out students during an intervention period and they be have like a second ELA period with that ESL teacher. The third delivery method is an ESL certified teacher would co-teach with the ELAR teacher. We would make adjustments during the EOY, the end of year LPAC meeting, and Teams codes would be adjusted at that point. The instructional method that we would use for our ESL Pull-Out program would be sheltered instruction. For example, we would sheltered instruction are strategies such as vocabulary instruction, differentiation, and use of visuals to bridge language and the content area. Option 2 proposal is a district-wide ESL program, but this one's a content-based program. So all content area, core content area staff members would be ESL certified. We would still use sheltered instruction as part of our instructional method. And during the end of year LPAC meetings, Teams codes would be changed to indicate that the students are in an ESL program. So we did some research and looked at different stipends around the area. The top of our Kingsville ISD stipends, bilingual and ESL, and then we looked at other areas around. If it's blank, they didn't offer a bilingual stipend. So, oopsies. So the stipend considerations for option 1. All bilingual ESL certified staff serving enrolled English learners would receive a $750 stipend. That's our current stipend amount. The delivery method would be ELAR teachers with an ESL certification. We would need 1 per grade level, and then our English courses. Now on here, the total says, well, on yours it says 28, but it is 26 after speaking to all of the principals, which changes our numbers to 19,500 for the stipend, total stipend amount.
21 is good.
The 21, yes, sir, scratch that off. It's the 19,500 would be the correct amount. I apologize. And it would be for 26 staff members. The second delivery method would be the ESL separate course, an additional ELAR course. So we would need an ESL certified teacher. We would need 1 per campus. It would total 5 staff members for a stipend total of $3,750. And the third method would be the co-teaching method. And so we would need 26 new hires plus the additional $19,500 stipend. That would be the most costly option for the pull-out option. We are also proposing that 50% of the stipend be distributed at the end of each semester based on the number of students being served, and that if a teacher is not serving ESL students, they will not receive the stipend for that semester. Option 2. This is the content-based option. So this one would, again, they would still receive the $750 stipend. In grades 6 through 12, we would need 1 per content area, which would equal 28 staff members. And in pre-K through grade 5, we would need 1 per grade level, except for those that team teach, which would be a total of 29 staff members at the elementary levels, for a grand total of 57 staff members and a stipend total of $42,750. Again, we are still proposing to do the 50% of the stipend being distributed at the end of the semester based on enrollment, student numbers. Our recommendation is the ESL Pull-Out Program for services during the ELAR class period. TEA provides free ESL test preparation through tseslprep.org. Teachers will also receive 12 CPE credit hours. The district is proposing to reimburse the cost for the ESL certification test, which is $116. And teachers will receive reimbursement with the submission of a passing test and the official record of educator certification. The total cost of the stipends and the test reimbursement would equal $21,240. And then we would schedule professional development for sheltered instruction and monitor the implementation. The last slide is a cost comparison of our current estimated costs. So our current estimated stipend costs would be $44,750. We have 17 bilingual teachers receiving $2,500, and we have 3 ESL teachers receiving $750. That's the current estimation. Next year, if we have our district-wide ESL program, the stipends would equal $19,500 with our total of 26 teachers at $750. Then with our test reimbursement total being $1,740, we're estimating that we need about 15 teachers to get their ESL certification, because we already have teachers that either have their ESL certification and or are bilingual certified, so they could teach the ESL class, for a total cost of $21,240 is an estimated cost.
If you're bilingual, you can automatically teach ESL.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they're both.
Yes, sir. The strategies would be the same. Okay, any questions?
Let me ask one quick. Okay. Last year we were, last year we were very confused. What is the difference about if you were ESL or you were bilingual ESL? So can you just give me a real quick 101 of what the difference is for Mr. Kufas's question? For a student or for a teacher? For a student.
So basically, the bilingual program is based on numbers. If you have any students speaking the same language in the same grade level that reaches 20 or more, you're required to have a bilingual program. If those numbers fall under the number 20, then you can offer a bilingual or an ESL program.
Okay, so this is my turn. Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We have, I don't know what page I'm on, but the chart that shows the different campuses and the number of students. These are identified by the parents, I suppose.
They are identified by the King's codes. And so what
Okay.
I'm
I'm a
sorry.
student going to Harvard,
Yes, sir.
and Spanish is primarily spoken in my home.
Yes, sir.
So do I automatically qualify? Does my parent have to sign me up for this? Who determines the need for the ESL?
The first step is the parent fills out a home language survey. And the campuses have to go by the first home language survey that the parents complete. Once they have a language other than English as one of the languages spoken at home, the teacher or the bilingual coordinator at the campus then tests the students either using the pre-LOS if they're pre-K kinder, or the LOS links if they're first grade up. Once they look at their language proficiency level, then they take it to the LPAC, and LPAC committee decides based on their language proficiency level if they qualify to be in a ESL bilingual program. So it's based on language proficiency of those assessments.
Is that assessment done annually?
It is done when they are just for identification purposes. TEA requires that for identification purposes. Throughout.
So I'm a first grader, and I get pulled out, and I work very hard with my instructor. And by the time I get to third grade or so, even though English or Spanish is predominantly spoken in my home, I've become proficient in English. Stay in this program through high school?
No, sir.
Okay.
So let me kind of step back and then I'll step forward. So also the parent has to approve entrance into the bilingual/ESL program. Once they're in there, And let's say we look for reclassification. The state has required us to use the Iowa test for grades 1st and 2nd and 11 and 12 to determine academic proficiency. The state also requires that we use the TELCAS test results, and they have to be advanced high to be able to be exited from the program. Once they're reclassified and exited from the program, parents are informed, and then we monitor for 4 years after that one.
All right. What about that handful of 10 children or so that we have that are other than Spanish?
The same applies. They still are doing the TELCAS testing. They're still required to be reclassified if their parents approve for them to be in the.
So the English as a second language is not specific to any one specific language being spoken at home. Its intent is to get these kids to be as proficient in English as we possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm a bilingual. Do I have a bilingual class? Because I don't have 19 buddies.
At this,
Why are you gonna give me a class? So for my bilingual, really, ESL by the thing.
at this time, students are classified as bilingual in based on their language of Spanish. So at this point, some of the campuses have bilingual students.
Okay, so what is a bilingual class?
So in the bilingual classroom, they're required to have a bilingual certified teacher to teach, to transition them from, at this point, it would be from Spanish to English, to become proficient in English, using similar strategies as the SIAP strategies, the sheltered instruction, I apologize, the sheltered instruction strategies. They also might teach some of the information in Spanish to English as we transition them to be proficient. And we also look, yes, sir, at the elementaries. Yes, sir, at the elementaries.
Okay, but other kids in the class aren't bilingual.
No, sir. It's a mixed population of some that are identified as bilingual and then, yes, sir.
Okay, but we're not gonna do that.
No, sir. What we're,
That's the proposal. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna say, everybody in the pool, your ESL.
we're going to look at ESL, but we're going to use instructional strategies that support the language acquisition as we transition.
Okay, so we're doing, you're talking about doing pull-outs.
It's called a pull-out program, but what we're recommending is for the English language arts teacher to be the ESL certified teacher. Because as far as the state, they would love for us to have our ESL program be the core content area program. The next one in line would be the ESL certified ELAR teacher.
So who's teaching the other kids when that ESL kids have been pulled out?
So if we do it, they would not be pulled out. They would be in the same, it would be the same pool of students. The ESL students would be in there, but they're general ed students. They'd all be receiving instruction in English. The teacher would then use sheltered instruction strategies, such as we would use like window panes, where we would draw pictures of whatever the vocabulary might be to help transition or to tie the academic language to for the student, for their basic, for their
So,
language.
classroom now, for lack of a better term, the three-ring circus, right? Got three acts going on at the same time.
No, sir. No, sir.
Like doing instruction to not ESL, instruction to ESL at the same time as just me, the
It's-
teacher.
It would be the same as if you were in a bilingual classroom. You differentiate the instruction. Your strategies that you use would be based on the student needs. You might be pulling small groups to provide that additional instruction, just like.
Pull-out really is pull-out.
No,
You're still
sir.
staying there.
Correct. The option that we're recommending, we want them to stay with that ELAR teacher. Yes, sir. And at the high school level, we would want them to be placed in an actual ESL teachers' classroom. At this point, they are being pulled.
In high school, is that correct?
Yes, sir, in high school and at middle school.
Well, what Colonel was saying is that in the classroom, not high school, but before then, you're gonna have students with different assignments.
No, sir. No, sir. No, it would be the same assignment. What we would do is maybe model just a little bit more for our bilingual students, but we would do that. We would differentiate for all of our students. Our students that are high, we differentiate for them, and it doesn't matter their language proficiency. We have a English language learner that's academically high, and so we would differentiate different from English language learner that may not be performing at that same level. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got an awful law question. So what happens if two kids cross the globe or dropped in, only spoke Cantonese or Mandarin or something? Are we prepared for kids like that?
So actually, we currently have students enrolled with those the languages that are other than Spanish, and they are in an ESL program, and we are providing additional supports. I will be honest, that's something that I do need to look into more.
How many we short? We did this recommendation right now, we're short.
So at the highest level right now would be first and our third graders at 9 students, so we're short 11 at either of those grade levels. 11 students. Is that what you were asking? Oh, I apologize. I misunderstood. Let's see. Let's go to this last slide right there. Currently, we'll need 15 staff members, 15 teachers to get their ESL certification.
Now, I'm currently a bilingual teacher and I'm getting 2,500. Now, we're gonna come back next year, it's gonna be 750. I don't want to do it.
When we're doing the, because we're doing the stipend study as it is, and that's going to be brought forward with all the other stipends. Currently, and I know when I had my meetings at the campuses about master schedule, and we did talk about how there are some teachers that are not bilingual certified that are they're receiving the $2,500 stipend in hopes that they were going to test, but it hadn't happened. And they didn't have students. And so we were looking at that was really fair to their teacher that's right next door to them, doing the exact same thing, but not getting the $2,500 stipend. So when we discovered that that was occurring, we really had to do a data dig and just look and see, okay, what do we have? And we need to change some of these practices to make them more equitable and still serve the students as well.
So, if I understand this correctly, we won't have bilingual teachers next year. You may have a certification.
We'll have them, but they're only going to get the
But they're gonna get the
$750
ESL.
stipend for ESL.
And we're short some certifications at ESL to execute the plan as you proposed.
That is correct. We are also short bilingual certification, and the bilingual certification.
Why does that matter to us?
If we stay with the current
Oh,
program,
stay with
yes, sir, we're still short.
Pros and going down that route.
No, sir.
Doing ESL.
Yes, sir. And we are short 15 staff members, or 15
And
certifications.
the difference between what we got, what we were proposing going to do is what, about 55%, 20. That's the difference. If I am a bilingual teacher this year, and I'm really got students and teaching bilingual, and next year I'm a ESL teacher, how does my job change?
It doesn't.
How do they get the certifications? Can the other teachers teach?
So-
Teachers to get the certifications?
ESL certifications, you have to take a test through TEA. You take your certification test. You don't necessarily need to take a college course, but they do have trainings available to those wanting to take the ESL test. For bilingual, are you wanting to know about bilingual certification as well? For bilingual certification, that's a course through the university. And then they have to take an intensive test. It's a writing and a speaking test. As it's pretty intense.
Other
other questions for Dr. Miller? Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
On item 6H3, the Sr3 Grant Program, page 31 for the book, presented by Dr. Sandoval and Dr. Peter.
I want to notate though that we're not taking action on the ESL program right now because we still are doing the study on the stipends, on the compensation for next year. So I don't want people feeling like they're going to decrease their salary because that is not our intention at all. Okay, so, but we just like to keep you all in the loop about everything that we're looking at. So
Is it safe, Dr. Professor, to say that your philosophy of the stipend, we look all stipend the same scope, i.e., an academic stipend in the terms of ESL or athletic stipend or music stipend or.
and that's what we're using TASB for, is to do a really good, thorough, objective study and recommendations of stipends and how we compare in the market. And then just looking at this, I mean, you can see right here how we were paying quite a bit, you know, where others were not paying at all, you know, the neighboring districts that we can see. So I think we'll still be okay. We'll be all right.
And that's why, again, going back to what Dr. Pettis just said, we were scheduled to have a board workshop at 4 o'clock today. Reason being, again, is that the stipend study was not done. Trying to make a cake, we didn't have the will to put in. So we're ready, and it's not fair to bring half the information to the board, but those are pointing to the public and to our staff.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Pettis, Board President and Board Trustees. We are here to present on the Sr3 Federal Grant that has been awarded to the state, actually by the federal government. We are going to go over the guidelines that the grant and the funding sources that we'll be using. So the purpose of the grant, the intended purpose of the American Rescue Plan, the ARP Act of 2021, the Sr3 funding is to help safely reopen and sustain the safe operation of schools and address the impact of coronavirus pandemic on students. So the fund eligible activities, the Sr3 funds can be used throughout the district in all school and support of all students and staff. There are no equitable services requirements for private schools. Typically, there are federal funds, and specifically Title I, we are required to distribute funds to Title I program or parental. Let me go back to private schools, and in this grant, we're not required to do so. We are able to supplement, not supplant requirements. So we're not required to do that in most federal grants. We cannot supplant the monies that we already pay certain things to, whether it be salaries or programs. In this grant, we are able to supplant. That's an important feature because it does give us more flexibility with the actual grant. Now I'm going to have Dr. Pitts talk a little more about the money, since he is a running person in the district.
Couple of general thoughts about Sr3. Sr1 was the CARES Act, and we received $1.1 million for that from the federal government. However, the state, in its infinite knowledge, took away $1.1 million from their state funding, so it was a wash. Sr2 is behind Sr3. We don't have information on Sr2 yet. So they have jumped to Sr3, the American Rescue Plan, and they have said we're getting approximately $11.1 million for that. However, we don't know how much state monies they're going to take away. There is a thought, though, that a good percentage of this, maybe most of it, is going to be new monies, but we don't know that yet. We probably won't know till sometime in June how much of this we're actually going to get to keep in as extra monies. So $11.1 million is the total amount to spend over the next 3 years from 2000. We could actually spend some this year. We could spend and then the next 3 years from this grant. So Dr. Sandoval is going to get into the plan that we need to put together and all the stakeholder feedback that we need to be able to spend this money. The application process is quite involved with all the stakeholder feedback, but looking at the money, if you look at that bottom row that says maximum direct costs, 1.4 million. So out of the 11.1 million, 1.4 is to come back to the district and doesn't need to be spent on any specific purpose for the grant. This is how all grants work. There is a percentage that we get to keep for administrative costs. For instance, anybody who has to administer the grant, the finance department, the federal programs department, and it can be used for any purpose whatsoever in the district. So in this case, in this grant, $1.4 million comes back to the district and can be spent on anything that we want to spend it on. Then $2.2 million needs to be spent on addressing learning loss. We plan to, looking at the budget, it looks like we're going to go way above that. And then $7.4 million can be spent on many other things, and we're going to take a look at some of those other things right now that discretionary budget can be spent on. We flip the slide, please. Oops, I got it. Who has a clicker? All right.
Angie.
So allowable uses of ESSER funding. Any activity authorized by federal education programs. That means that anything that is under Title I, Title II, 3, 4, 5, anything that's under Perkins, anything that's under IDB or special education, everything that's available to be spent in any other grant can be spent in this grant. So that includes a lot of things. That includes technology, that includes parent involvement, that includes school safety. So there's quite a bit of things that are allowable under that one little bullet point. Coordination of COVID-19 preparedness. So to help the district ready for COVID-19, including PPE, including sanitation, including even things like air filtration systems. Training and professional development for staff on sanitation and minimizing the spread of infectious diseases. More broadly, this grant can be spent on any type of instructional training as well. That falls under one of the title programs. So basically, if there's PD involved, this grant can pay for it. Technology, anything from hardware, software to connectivity, but with the caveat that it needs to be spent toward the students. We couldn't buy software for the maintenance department with this grant. Providing mental health services and supports, summer learning loss, improving student attendance and engagement in distance education. So we could spend it on publicity to get students to come to school and to be in class. Facility repairs, improvements to reduce the risk of the virus, but it also says environmental hazards too, which could be anything with like upgrading the HVAC system. Also with protecting from environmental hazards, we're still waiting on hearing from if the roofs can be covered under this grant as well too. Because they do protect the students from environmental hazards. Implementing public health protocols in line with CDC. So again, along the lines with COVID preparation and preparedness. And then the last one is overarching and very broad. Activities necessary to maintain district operations. For instance, utilities. We have to pay the light bill. We have to have air conditioning. This can pay for anything that has to keep the schools running. We need a new bus. We need that for operation of the district. You can pay for that. And then look at the last little component there. And again, this is the language exactly from the grant. Employ existing district staff. We can use it for staff salaries of anybody in the district that's already employed in the district. Not new employees, but existing staff. We can use this grant to pay them. So some of the, I've got it again. Unallowable activities and uses of funds. So debt services, we can't use it to pay any of our bond payments. We can't use it to host conferences. We can't use it for salaries of people that are not employees of the district. Nothing with teacher unions, nothing with bonus pay, unless it was specifically related to disruptions for COVID-19, such as premium pay, if someone had to come in when the district was closed. But that's the only one that is allowable.
So let's look at the safe return to in-person instruction plan. All districts receiving the SR3 funding shall develop and make publicly available on their website no later than 30 days after receiving the SR3 allocation, a plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services. We did put together a plan at the beginning of the year for a synchronous and asynchronous learning. We are going to go back to that plan. We are going to modify that plan to make that more consistent with what the SR3 grant is requiring. It does specifically talk about returning and to safe schools, so we will include that in the language. We're also required to post that on the website and get feedback from our stakeholders, parents, students, community, district staff. So we want to make sure that we give them plenty of time to give us feedback so that we can consider adding that to our plan. If a district had a previous plan implemented prior to March 11, 2021, that meets the requirements described above, we were not required to new plan. But our plan did not meet specifically that requirement, but because we did have a plan, we'll just update it to meet those specific requirements. It does talk about synchronous and asynchronous learning. That needs to be part of the plan in the event that we have a third or fourth wave of COVID that requires us to go to remote learning. One of the big components of this Sr3 grant is the learning loss requirement. Again, it does require 20% of the fund to be, or more, at least a minimum of 20%, to be spent on learning loss. And we need to make sure we provide evidence that the intervention that we're providing are to support that learning loss. Districts will need to submit both federal and state reports outlining what initiatives were funded with Sr3 funding to address the learning loss and recovery. So here's the component, probably the big kicker in regards to this grant, because we have such a short turnaround to get the information processed, get the information back from stakeholders, and to apply for the grant. We have about a month and a half window to get it all completed and finalized to submit to TA. But it does require that we have parents, student, teacher, administrators, principals, community members, everyone under the sun that can give us input, board members. So we are seeking and putting together a survey to get that feedback from our community and our students and our parents to make sure that their input is heard. We're creating this plan on how we're going to spend the district funds. So program requirements, we must document a plan for the expenditure of the Sr3 grant funds and the timeline for the planned expenditures. We must document how we determine the needs caused by COVID-19. One of the trainings that we went attended today, Dr. Pitts and I, they gave us a template on how to best rank and prioritize our campus needs, our district needs. And we must document the prioritization and how it was determined, why we chose the activities to spend our grant monies on. So this is our proposed Sr3 timeline. We reviewed this last week with our leadership team, and we wanted to present it to the board today, so you got to kind of get a sense of what we're looking at in terms of this grant. So on May 7th, we met to discuss, what are some input and recommendations that we want, and we started putting some additional ideas together how we can spend these monies. Today, we are presenting to the board in regards to the timeline. Tomorrow, leadership team will meet again to finalize the survey that we've drafted and get additional input from our leadership team. On the 17th, our plan is to meet with principals to get their input on how we could spend the money to best support their campuses. We want to launch our survey between May the 17th to the 20th, give them a 2-week window to give us feedback on the use of these funds. On the 19th, I want to present a draft plan to DIC, that's next Wednesday, to get their feedback and recommendations. Again, our DIC has a representation from all campus, community, parents, business members of the community, so we do have a lot of representation. We are proposing to have a board workshop on May the 25th to get the input of the board on how we best spend these funds. June the 8th, Dr. Perez will be giving an Sr3 update to the State of the District presentation she has scheduled. And last, we'd like to try to present or have this application completed by June the 29th in the event that there's any errors or any mistakes that we need to correct, we can do it in justifiable time before the grant is due. Grant is due on July the 27th, I believe. So give us ample time to get that all corrected. A lot of money. We do not want to miss out on this opportunity. I think we could do great things for the district, the students that we serve. So we're open to any questions that you may have.
Lots. Where did the $11 million number come from? Anybody know?
That is the allocation TA has given to us. Every district was allocated a number based off the Texas.
This is federal money?
Correct.
Back in March, April of 2020, when everything was hitting, they basically said that we were told, spend what you need, we'll get it back. Is that this? Is this coming, the money coming back to us?
So,
I mean,
no.
but we can use this to recoup some of the technology costs that we incurred.
The technology costs we've already applied under a prior purchase reimbursement. So we haven't received final word yet on that, but no, that is completely separate. So this is new monies going forward. It could be used for anything that we've spent so far this year, but the problem with the technology purchases, they were actually purchased last school year and we've already closed our books, so we can't go back on that.
All right, so this is a 4.5 year program that the period that it covers from March of 2020 to September of 2024. That's where you have to spend $11 million during that period, is what your plan has to be, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so roughly $2.5 million a year.
Well, yes, we're looking at about, after you consider the indirect costs, we're looking at about $2.2 million a year, correct?
All right. It's not a slam dunk. You have to put together an application, correct?
That's correct, but so this is the amount of money that we are going to get for this grant. The only thing that we do not know is the amount that the state is going to take away from their side of the fund.
The money passes through the state.
Yes,
So it's not money to the state.
correct.
Earmarked for us, yeah. Supposedly. Is in the application process, is the district's grant writer being used at all?
No,
Okay,
he is not on staff.
thank you. Okay. How much of this 11.4 can we legally use to offset our current budget deficit? That
100%.
100%. So what are we short right now? 2.5 million?
For this year to balance the budget? That's a good question.
That's why I asked.
No, but we're not counting on it. We've already been planning all year to get to rid of that.
And it's declined.
Right.
It's
Considerably.
The three big variables as far as how we're going to end up in budget this year are, number one, how we're going to do on the prior purchase reimbursement, because that could be over up to $2 million that we get back in reimbursement. So we don't know how that's going to end out yet.
I guess my concern is that we don't buy the big screen TV.
Correct.
I think saying 20% allocated to marketing costs is a drop in the bucket. I said damn 80% of this got to be allocated to learning loss. That's the effect of COVID going forward. Obviously, there's going to be some physical requirements. There's going to be some things that come out of this that change forever. But our focus over the next several years has got to be on the learning loss. It's going to be tremendous.
And those two things are mutually exclusive. A lot of the things that we already do address learning loss, for instance, after school tutoring, summer school. So again, it can be multi-purpose.
It's just when you have this deficit hanging over your head, it's going to affect your bond rates. It's going to affect so many things. And I don't want to call this a windfall because we put so much money into this out of our pocket. And if this is to reimburse, this is to okay, we'll make it better. I'd kind of like to use it for something that's going to make that deficit go away. So that we go into a new school year.
Currently, also our fund at the end of last year, and we need 7.7 to be at that 90 of operating costs. So we're 1.5 million below a healthy fund balance, and then we're looking at how we're going to end up this year. This year, again, we should end up pretty good. Again, we've got some big reimbursements, and then of course the property values that are going to could be several $1 million depending on how we end at the end of the year.
One of the things, you can look at the big screen TVs, but don't.
I think with all the public input and then the teacher input, the principals, with everybody's input, I think we'll get to that. I think the 20% was a minimum,
Right.
for learning loss, but we're not going to sacrifice learning loss for a big TV. Even though our classrooms do need smart TVs, they do, because the kids need to be engaging in virtual experiments and all those goodies that they're missing out on. And
technology is a big part of this grant, and a lot of the devices we would have to purchase anyway, but now they can be credited toward this grant.
One of the things that you discussed earlier was that the Sr3 grant was skipped over.
Correct.
What did we apply for in the Sr3 grant? Will we be applying for the same money?
Well, we are supposedly slotted to get $4.9 million from that. But again, we don't know how much of that money we're going to get.
But what I'm trying to say is I want to make sure when we put our plan together that we're not using the same items that we're using for Sr2 to say this is what we're going to spend the money on. Then we get an Sr2 and all of a sudden we're out of compliance.
The good thing that is, as with all grants, we are allowed an amendment process. They haven't even put out the guidelines for Sr2 yet. As far as I'm concerned, this is really the prior ESSER. So we will be able to amend our plan, but we have, as Dr. Sandoval said, we have 2.5 months to put it together, but we're aiming for 1.5 to kind of give us some leeway just to be safe. So basically we have the rest of May to get feedback from everybody, all the employees that are still here, and then in June for the leadership team to take all that feedback and actually write the grant and put it together and submit it by the end of June.
This is the application deadline, July the 27th, 2021.
Yes.
When did that first, I'm assuming all one lump sum payment, or at least first payment be made to us?
The way that all the grants work is we spend the money first and then we draw down and they reimburse us.
Period of availability, March 13, 2020. So I guess, is that what we're concerning? They're looking at the data going back to March 13, 2020.
All the way to the beginning of the pandemic, but we, again, have already closed books through August 30th of 2020, so we can't go back to the end of that. Most of what we spend this on, I believe we're probably looking at what we're doing from now going forward all the way to the August 30th, 2024.
Any other questions when it comes to the ESSER grant being presented by Dr. Sandoval and Dr. Pitts? Any other questions? Again, thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and move to 6H, again, superintendent's report. Go on to item number 4. Failure report can be found on page 44. Again, by Mr. Ramirez, we have a revised PowerPoint handout that was handed out at the beginning of the meeting. So Mr. Ramirez will be following the one in our board packet, or this one we just received.
The new one you just were presenting, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
The one in your board packet was incomplete. We are drawing down numbers daily. The most updated information as of Monday.
Which include the high school as well, right?
Yesterday, yes, sir.
And just as a forewarning, in talking to several districts, we are not, I guess it's not uncommon, the struggles that we're having right now with our students catching them up.
Yes, ma'am. We know we want to focus on our district, but in speaking to other districts across the state as well as across the nation, unfortunately, they're seeing the same numbers that we're seeing in front of us, or more so.
Almost there. Goodness.
Sure.
Time to bring my screen back. Okay. Spatial. And there you go. Okay.
Okay, so I will be presenting the update from the first through the fourth 6 weeks that I presented on April the 27th. We now have the first through the fifth 6 weeks. Keeping in mind that the information that you received on April 27th board meeting was a week short of the fifth 6 weeks. So some of these numbers are going to have some changes, but keep in mind we're working really hard every single day. The first slide that you see or you have in front of you in your revised PowerPoint are the elementary numbers from the first through the fifth 6 weeks. Green indicates credits recovered at 50% or better. So in looking at the elementary campuses, you see the total number of students under the term total. And then you see the way you read the fraction. For example, at Carroll and ELA, we had 35 students at the end of the fourth 6 weeks, average that needed credit recovery. Currently, we need 25 students who need credit recovery. So I did a credit recovery to credit recovery needed in the math here. So you'll notice Harrell has made significant progress. The other schools are making progress as well. Some, let's look at Harvey as an example, social studies. The fourth 6 weeks, they had 0 students failing after the fourth 6 weeks. They now have 2 students failing after the fifth 6 weeks. Some of these campuses have received new students. And so some of the new students came in with failing grades. So some of the new students, as you see the numbers higher, are just from various districts. There's no trend or pattern. At Gillette and Memorial, again, you have the total number of students in the first column, students enrolled on campus, and you see the credit recovery. We are making significant progress at both campuses. Memorial has 3 content areas where they have been able to regain over 50% of credits and still continuing to work on it every day.
Which numbers first? The 6 weeks number or 1 through 4?
So the denominator is the fourth 6 weeks credit recovery needed, and the numerator is the fifth 6 weeks credit recovery needed. So they, at the end of the fourth 6 weeks in ELA, Gillette had 77 students that needed credit recovery. They now have 44 students who need credit recovery.
You're on the wrong page. I don't see it. Good. Okay, so the first number is the fifth 6 weeks, the second number is 1 through 4.
Yes, sir.
I may be jumping ahead. If I am, I'm sorry. But what was the primary means of achieving the credit recovery?
So how they're receiving credit recovery, they are, teachers have assigned Google Classrooms, paper packets, Saturday boot camps, Saturday school, Education Galaxy prescriptions, Edgenuity prescriptions. So there are a variety of means to be able to recover credit.
So the letters sent out and the contacts and all that has worked, and the students have gotten engaged, and the teachers have gone out and beaten the bushes and found these kids. And
Yes, sir.
great.
Yes, sir. Campuses, CIS, parent liaisons, teachers are all working very diligently every single day to try and get these students on target.
Walk me through this. Let's go there.
Okay, so
It says ELA 25, 35. Which represents what? What is it?
I'm sorry.
Number of students needing credit recovery. Okay, so 35 represents the 4 6. Okay, so got it.
Okay.
The heading is throwing me off. I got it.
understood. Okay, so when we look at H&K, high school's a little different. They are looking at the number of assignments rather than the number of students for credit recovery. So their data, their table looks a little different. We are looking at the core content, the first column, the number of students enrolled, or rather the second column, number of students enrolled. The third column is the number of students who were in the first through the 6 weeks average. The next column is the number of students who were failing the first through the 6 weeks average. So their numbers went up after the 4th 6 weeks to the 5th 6 weeks. And to date, they have been able to recover 32 assignments in English 1. Again, the teachers are working very hard to contact the students, to get parental support, to ensure that they are completing recovery assignments as needed. So I'm going to give you just a second to look at that table.
Those are assignments, those aren't actual credit recoveries.
Correct.
So there could be as many as 10 or 15 assignments for any given student.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Malaya, did you want to give a clarification?
On those the assignments, it really means that they complete that credit recovery. So it could have been one assignment, but it could have been 2 assignments, but we just put, I mean.
It's credit, it's recoveries, not assignments.
Credit recovery.
It's recovery.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So the kid's off the book.
It's off the book. Or it's in the process of being taken off the book.
Okay.
So it's 32 out of the 127, is that correct?
That's initially the way I was reading it. So when we go to summer school implications later, we may need to explain that as well, because I worked very closely with the principals on this data because it is changing daily and there's no report for me to access right now, but they are monitoring it daily.
So if I go down to English 4 at the high school, we've got 41 seniors that are in danger.
That are working right now.
Okay, but they're in the danger zone.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
All right.
But they are definitely a high priority.
Just on English 4. Okay, got it.
Do we have a report of how many seniors are not able to graduate in the next month? Yes, well, right there, you're looking at about 41.
Right.
Okay. I'd said 38 because like about 3 or 4 were looking like they were going to. So it was just an approximate, but we're looking about that many.
Mhm.
Unless, but we're on them.
Every day.
I know.
Every day. So what are, as I mentioned at the last report on April the 27th, we talked about how the end of the 5th 6 weeks averages would provide us summer school numbers, potential summer school numbers. Keeping in mind, we still have 4 weeks of school left, and so every day we're working towards this. So our elementary numbers do not look too bad for summer school. We are focusing on ELAR and math. Those are the 2 content areas where we feel we really need to stress and ensure that our students are receiving accelerated instruction during summer school. So those are our summer school numbers per grade level there. Then at Gillette and Memorial, we have our summer school numbers for ELAR and math. And we are also focusing in ELAR and math for Gillette and Memorial to ensure that we are able to accelerate instruction. So those are our current numbers. On Friday, we are going to begin looking at our staffing to student ratio. So on Friday, we will be putting teachers to these numbers and informing them next week of their attendance to summer school. This is King High School summer school implications right now. The number of students who could be potentially attending summer school to address either EOC or credit recovery opportunities during our summer session 1 for high school.
So these 43 English 4, are they your 41 from the previous slide?
There are 43. Currently, it looks like we have 43 students who are needing Right, credit recovery for that course. So, and again, I was trying to match up the numbers as closely as possible, but the numbers were coming in daily, fast and furious. So right now, I would say 41 to 43.
So these would be like possible summer graduates? Or?
They could potentially be summer graduates, but again, we're recouping as many as we can before then.
The only area that's graduating is credits. Stars out of the out of play. But I have had 0 star tests, I can still walk if I got the credits. Is that a correct statement?
There are still the ESC requirements for graduation.
Those are the star requirements.
Yes, sir.
The EOC,
Okay, so what are they? 5 or 5?
you know, you can do the 3, and then the
3
2.
or 5. And we have, we had any, what do you call them?
IGC.
Yeah. You done those?
We are working towards those
Blair?
for IGC.
We have to wait till, they're working on it, but we have to wait till we also get the results to see if they needed to do the IUP. So they'll be replaced by the time we get the results. A student will already have completed it, whether they, so like, let's say I needed US history. Well, I'd already complete the IUC requirements, not gonna wait till the results come in, the results won't come in until the end of the test.
So they're completing them right now. Okay,
Should they need.
Okay. Has there ever been anyone not get to go on the review? The time you've been there as a lawyer?
IGC.
From the IDC, well, I was only there last year. So last year, all the ones that we did IDC went through.
I don't ever recall any not going through historically.
It has, when I was at the AP at the high school.
Okay, we're going back some years now.
Yeah, but there were students that did not graduate because the IGC.
So the slide that you have before you now, the next steps from board meeting, this was a slide from the April 27th board meeting. So the green just shows the steps that we completed, the last one being the presentation to the board meeting today. So I just wanted to give you an update on those next steps from that previous meeting. Those have all occurred. And now as we look at the last 4 weeks of school, again, as I mentioned, we continue to address credit recovery, make phone calls daily, contact parents, trying to really get students motivated to participate in credit recovery. We are using, as I mentioned before, Education Galaxy and Edgenuity prescriptions with supportive teachers to address credit recovery, as well as continued efforts with Google Classroom and paper packets. Again, our seniors, we are addressing them daily. We want them to graduate. They want to graduate, and so we still are having difficulty getting a hold of some students and parents, but we're trying every day. We're doing home visits. We've got those documented, and so we are going to continue to try and move that train. We have sent out our summer school invitations or applications for the potential numbers. Parents have been contacted to be informed that as of right now, their child qualifies for summer school based on their grades. However, if we're able to recoup what we need, they may not need to attend summer school. And so as we get closer, we're going to do another report, progress period, to see where we are at progress period time. And we'll continue to communicate with our parents.
Have you handed out graduation tickets yet?
Mr. Blair, you can answer the question.
Yes, we did, but they had to sign whether they were, the students who were, like those 42 students, they had to sign that they were in danger. They were informed that they were in danger of not graduating. We wanted to make sure that we wanted to get that sense of urgency. A month before, when we did the panoramic picture and handed out packets, we did the same thing. Students who were in danger of failing, they had to sign so that we could make sure that everybody's aware that we're working, but we need everybody focused.
I saw that as a tactic. Parents, well, passed, and the kid comes home with a graduation ticket. That's when they'll pick up the phone.
Yeah. And then lastly, we're looking at developing student support plans. It's similar to an accelerated instruction plan when a student maybe did not fare well on a STAR assessment. But really what it is we're asking our principals to develop these grade placement committees with an administrator, the teacher, and the parent to determine what the acceleration plan will be for the student next year if the student is really struggling this year, specifically in science and social studies, because we know that acceleration is going to be needed across the board in reading and math. And so we are developing plans for that. Our curriculum writing will have information and plans will be made based on the acceleration needed for next year. Questions?
Again, thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And principals.
Yeah, thank you, Principal.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to, again, superintendent report. Item number 5, Boys and Girls Club update. It's been found on page 55. Computer clicks.
We have currently met 3 times with Boys and Girls Club representatives on site. This last Saturday, we met and tested the HVAC system on the areas that they want to use, which would mainly be the gym, the cafeteria, and the band hall / choir hall wing. And there were no problems with the HVAC system. We can just turn on those areas and therefore save on electricity cost. We have talked with Boys and Girls Club, and they are willing to pay the utilities. They are willing to insure their own contents of the building. In June, we will be bringing something to the board that takes a look at the options we have for insuring that building. We can now move to just cash value instead of replacement cost. Since we're not using that facility, that'll be something that we'll be looking at. But obviously the biggest cost to that area are the utilities. We haven't created the MOU yet. We are working on that, and we wanted to just kind of give you an update where we are in the process. I'll take any questions.
I just want to know if this MOU is going to be a lease agreement for this space.
Well, it will, they will be using it, but they will not be the only ones that could be using it, if that answers your question.
I'm just wondering if, let's say, the HVAC goes out and it costs $1.2 million to redo the HVAC.
That's something we'll have to consider at the time.
I just hope that that language is pretty tight, because we sign in, well, you guys sign an MOU, and we don't have an officer anymore. So if we can get that airtight on contingencies of things happening, that'd be great.
We'll make sure this goes through legal and then it gets brought to you.
Of course.
Okay, we're back. You said something, then we'll do an officer. What are you saying? We do have an officer. We have an SRO.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not that kind of an officer.
That was, we do have one. Again, if you recall, that was brought, again, the county had stepped forward and said they were willing to give us some at their cost. But the one the district had made the arrangement with, we sold the property or gave the property or an agreement with the Sister Elizabeth County. We do have an SRO on, so that is part of it. But again, the sheriff and the judge and the 3 took it upon, and again, we're in good faith, go on ahead and set up another SRO.
How are we that one?
Part of it. Now we're getting into personal stuff. We can talk about this in the back, because it's getting to a personnel issue. So we definitely, but again, we will definitely talk about it. It becomes a personal issue. We had 2 of them.
I think I'm coming more from a, hey, we're allowing someone to utilize our space, and we're doing things out of the kindness of our heart and vice versa. That, of course, it's going to go through, but I think sometimes looking back at what we signed and agreed, it kind of falls through the cracks and things get either ignored or we get walked all over. So I just want to make sure that there's language in that MOU, because I feel much more comfortable when that comes up. We make sure that we're scratching our back first.
And I agree 100% with you, but again, I can assure you that, again, and you're right, we have been taking advantage of the past, but what I can say is that I said in 2 of these meetings, it's a great opportunity for us to, again, going back to community involvement, but again, everything will be, I's will be dotted, the T's will be crossed, but again, we will make sure that that MOU if we do sign it, comes in front of the board, and that every board member will have an opportunity to really thoroughly look at it, their opinion, and give their information they want.
If we consolidated, through the consolidation plan, biggest element to me was, this is the total cost savings. Biggest cost savings, the only cost savings, pretty much I could see, was the cost of infrastructure no longer being having to be maintained, equal, but whatever. So will this MOU cut into the savings that were projected by the closing of the campuses in the first place?
In our talks right now, they're only wanting to utilize 3 rooms, I believe. And they would pay the utilities for it, et cetera. And we're trying to negotiate, things that would, it's like a give and take. Right now, we're just kind of letting y'all know that these talks are happening and we want your feedback. We want you to be able to contribute to
It's a
it.
great idea, and it supports our kids at a whole different level outside of education.
Right.
Go on that. The thing is, though, can't cost us a dime.
We don't end,
It's the soup kitchen. We've done this before. We have an MOU established. We had it with 2 other agencies in the past. So there's, we're not reinventing.
But it's just like you can't cost us anything. So when I see maintenance, heating, cooling, Liz's question, what happens if it goes out? Well, are we a landlord? Or
All of that will be
Yeah,
presented to us.
it can't cost us anything, otherwise we kind of negated on what we said we're gonna do when we're gonna do the consolidation.
I hear your concerns and we'll make sure they're addressed in the MOU. And Colonel Kreitz, you brought up a good point that the vast majority of these kids in Boys and Girls Club are our kids. So, yeah.
That's great, that's
It's
all
something
for
we're
it. I
doing
think
on
it's
that
a great
side.
idea. Now, what about all the rest of the buildings? We open the door to other organizations coming. I need those 8 classrooms. Can I make a deal for those 8 classrooms, or can I mean,
We have not had anybody approach us on those.
okay, but
We're
but
still
you
gonna be
go into
looking at.
one, you open the door to others, come in and make the same request. We had another request. We have had another request. At least I saw an inquiry on Memorial. Can I use Memorial? I'd like to brief the board by another organization. Yeah, the security.
Oh, and what I can tell you is, again, is that there was a meeting set up, and again, I'm not gonna read it,
I'm not.
I want to be transparent, you're gonna call us out, I'll tell you, there was a meeting that was set up, and again, through conflict of, and I'll say it, I shouldn't, but I will. So I had some appointments that I need to as part of my health, and we postponed, and we're going to take those as well.
But it's not other organizations come forward and say, I would like.
Absolutely, of
Got
course.
land.
Correct.
No Memorial sits on. Can that be sold, subdivided, plant corn? I don't care. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of land there.
So let me kind
Don't
of
say yes quickly. Don't say yes quickly. Remember FLATA. We don't know how we got the land, and there could well be deed restrictions in there that prevents us from doing anything. So until a full title search is done, I would say we don't know.
One of the factors that drove the Memorial decision was you're gonna have to replace the roof. Does that have any impact on roof replacements?
The roofs in the gymnasium and cafeteria are in better condition than the rest of the facility.
Are we using buckets in the gym and cafeteria? Because I've seen buckets in the gym.
Dr. Williams,
So,
buckets in the cafeteria or in the gym?
So we have weekly roofs in the gym.
So, and I, so
I'm just making sure that things don't
Well, and I think what Colonel's talking about also, Ms. Ramos, is that we used, at Human Services, we were at the whole Austin school for many years. And we had an agreement with the school. And we had a budget. We had monies that were coming in, so we had to pay for every single thing that broke down in that old building. We're thankful we had the building. Same thing with the Boys and Girls Club. They have a budget that they're gonna be able to operate these expenses. You know, and I'm right with Colonel by saying we consolidated for that one purpose of saving money. Okay, so just as long as in the MOU, we have, it's tight on what we're responsible for and what they're responsible.
And you're correct, Trustee Garcia, because again, like I said, Dr. Bettis and I have been sitting in these meetings. Again, rest assured, we can keep on kicking the can down the road. But again, we will not put the district in any harm's way as far as the cost, because we do understand the hardship. And that's the first thing Dr. Bettis and I, again, before we even began, was, again, cost. So again, I do hear each and every one of you, but again, these are all still premature. There is no MOU. We're just trying to keep you abreast of what's going on, but rest assured, your concerns that you do have will be brought forward. And again, we will not sign anything unless, again, before you all have an opportunity to read it. But again, thank you.
It's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Big, bold, great idea. We ought to take advantage of it if we can.
500 kids, because the roof came in or the HVAC was at 500 degrees out. That's my only worry.
Well, maybe, yes, that would be Boys and Girls Club, they would have to do that.
There are separate systems in those areas. There's a separate system in the gymnasium, then the cafeteria and band hall. So if one of the systems went out, that other area would function perfectly fine.
Anything else? Thank you, Dr. Bettis. Appreciate it. Item number 6H, Memorial Middle School, Maverick Lane, Dr. Bettis.
Okay, before we go, I just want to make it clear that the SRO we have, high school is the one that's being paid by the sheriff. We're not having to.
I'd like to talk about that more in executive session.
Okay, we're not losing on that.
Yeah, but we'll ask the question.
The next thing is Memorial Maverick Lane. Okay, so at Gillette Middle School, every hall has, is named after something. Whether it's Bobcat Lane or Texas Tech Lane or UT or what else, Mr. Segovia? Longhorn, Catalina, you know, all of those. And so I have a suggestion that since we are close to middle school, how about we name one of the hallways at Gillette Memorial Maverick Lane? And so we're going to go ahead and go for that. And I brought a little mock up of what the sign will look like. And we looked at the hallway going towards that does not have a name. We walked through there and we thought that would be a good hallway to dedicate to memorial, memory of memorial for right now. And maybe put some memorabilia there as well. So just wanted to share that with the public. We hear you, Memorial Mavericks. Yes. This is not my idea, it's a suggestion brought from Coach James Jefferson, who is a Memorial Maverick. And he asked if this would be considered, so I want to give him kudos for that. All right.
Cool, thank you, Dr. Bettis. Okay. Item 6I. Recap report, Secretary for February 2021, can be found on page 6 of the book. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Peter Pitts? Dr. Pitts, I have a, on the second page of our board book, the Oasis Electric Company, Department of using stuff from Epiphany across the street.
No, that is Epiphany's electricity charge.
Okay, I just,
So,
you know, we're us out there, you know, we're.
no, we don't have anything out there. It is a grant where Title I and a lot of the other grants require us to service all Title I students within our area, regardless of whether they go to our school or whether they go to a private school. So they get money for Title I intermediary. And the same thing here with ESSER 1, they get some monies that they can use to help pay their keep the lights on over there, just like we're using Esr to pay for our electricity bills. We get a portion that's administered through us to pay their electricity bills.
Thank you, sir.
Same thing, resale lease, $836. What's the time range? Is that a monthly payment or semi-annual or annual or?
That's monthly. We also have a Rico lease. So the Rizzo machines are smaller machines that they kind of make those. They used to be Purple Monsters, but now it's updated, I guess. It kind of creates a master. Say that again.
$10,000 a year on that?
Let me double check on that for you and I'll get that.
Okay, also the communities and schools, the monthly fee amount was $10,164.
That's correct. That's what we pay for communities and schools. Correct. And we do get 4 full-time staff on board for that. And we get a lot of resources as well too. It used to be lower until we added another person to the contract.
And the last one, Texas Virtual School Network, 1 month, 1 year. What's that time range on that?
I will have to check on that.
And how many kids do we have on the Texas Virtual School Network?
Okay, I'll get that for you as well.
Is there a cost analysis based on what we pay if they were going to Pembroke or Coastal rather than the virtual network?
Most of those students would use that service when it isn't available.
I know when I was there, it was biology and calculus. Those are both really available. As it is cost effective. I mean,
Okay, we can
knowledge
get that.
college and credit to credits.
We get that. for you.
Anybody else? If anybody has any questions after the meeting, again, you're always feel free to email us and she will get you the information you need. Thank you, Dr. Fritz. All right, let's move on. Item 7, new business. By common consent of the board, agrees to consider one action item called. Page 61, approval of retro board meeting minutes, April 27th, an email that we sent this afternoon. 2, approval of regular board minutes of March 1st, 2021, approval of monthly investment report March 2021, approval of tax report March 2021, approval of monthly financial report March 2021. Approved by common consent. Motion by Mr. Brian Kufal, second by Lieutenant Colonel Price. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to discuss, board minutes for April 27th.
Absolutely.
In our meeting, excuse me, in the minutes that we have for the 27th. Maybe, hold on, maybe I'm running out of my hand on one second. But I have this together a bit. Okay, so this is 27. When it comes to H, and that's the Ricardo transfer agreement. In here it states that transportation. I believe it's different than the one that we looked at in the agreement. The one that we have from the 27th, number 5. They'll drop off the Ricardo ISD school building to KISD in the morning and transfer the Ricardo students after the scheduled day to their residencies in the Ricardo community. That's on the 27th.
Right, and we're supposed to change it because we said we're not going to be leaving them off at their residences. We're going to be leaving them off at their campuses.
That's not what was voted upon that night. That wasn't, there was no agreement to alter.
If I'm not mistaken, quote me if I'm wrong, Mr. Max, I think that we had said that we would, that Dr. Pettis, we would still go back to sign, am I correct?
We're only transporting to and from their campuses and not their residences. Can you hear Mr.?
Yes, I can. Board, can you hear me?
Then the autonomy to make the recommendations, am I correct?
Are you able to hear me, board?
Nodding our heads, it wasn't a full agreement. And
Mr. President, are you able to hear me?
you guys agree with what's here, not with it altered to the part of the school.
Mr. Marlowe,
Mr. Maddox, can you hear us?
is there activated?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can.
Mr. Marlowe,
Yes,
The reason why Mr. Max did not make it today, again, is because as you all know, there's inclement weather, and he is a rotor warrior, so he drives, goes and comes. So I apologize for Mr. Max not being here present, but he's still on Zoom. But from now on, you will definitely see Mr. Max here. Nice little.
As I recall, we approved the transfer with the understanding that the superintendent was going to discuss this with Mr. Moore, with regard to school reference, Moore to get that.
Not my understanding at all. Just sound like y'all wrote down.
Okay.
Fully agree with
What's the harm?
the harm is that we agreed to an MOU and it was altered to say something different, and yet we're going with what we didn't agree with.
We're currently dropping off students and picking them up at their residences.
All I'm saying is that the MOU that was presented to us that night looks different than the MOU that was sent to me today.
Okay, so do we, I guess that's where we need Mr. Maddox. Do we bring back the MOU?
I think what would suffice here is just an agreement signed by the Ricardo superintendent and the superintendent of KISD that students would be transported to the school district. I mean, to the school building. That's signed off on, have it ratified at another board meeting if necessary.
Right. And again, we can always go back to the Zoom, the YouTube, and see what we was said, but again, you are correct, Ms. Ramos, that it did pass for three, but again, the whole deal was to give, again, the autonomy to the superintendent that needed to be into the transportation.
And that's what I understood, so I contacted the superintendent the very next day to make sure that we got that change. We can bring it back.
Was it more of that, or was it more of the whole, we don't want you here?
No, it's more that we as a board agreed,
Okay.
word for word, what that MOU said that night. And in that night states to the residents of the Ricardo community, it does not state. We did not agree upon that night that it would be to the Ricardo residents. Maybe our vote would have been different if that's what was amended or altered.
Sure, respect that. But, you know, I think most of the discussion was more to the lines of why we feel like we're good again. We can definitely get with legal and find out, but we can definitely move.
Concern is that if we vote on something as a board, regardless of how we vote, majority votes, then that's what we're doing. Dr. Verbiage of the house contract is, we're gonna do this. I think 3 months from now, 6 months from now, they can say, hey, right here in writing, on a contract, you signed it.
But I think it's a win-win for the district regardless, but what we can do is we can get an executive, line up the minutes pool, and we'll go from there. Sound like a fair district?
I'm fine with all sorts of things. Superintendents, free to drop off there, that can be an amendment to the.
We need to go on an agenda for an amendment
That's what I'm
to.
saying.
We can bring it back.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, we got to August.
Okay, so at the end, yep, exactly, we have till August. Again, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. All opposed, say nay. All opposed, say nay. It's not correct. So there's 6 yes and one nay would be no. Thank you so much. Okay, 7B, consider purchase over 7,500. 7B, found on page 79. Dr. Peter, please.
You want the video?
This is a purchase for a drafting table that can be used for several different classes in CTE. It would come out of Perkins funding, which is a grant, so it would not affect the general fund. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Purchase be approved.
Second. Motion been made by Mr. Brian Kufal, second by Mr. David Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the 7,500, over 7,500 draft table for CTE at the amount of 713, 81 coming out of the county 2441, say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item 7C, consider approval of first reading of board policy H local purchasing and acquisition. That can be found on page 81 of your board book. Dr. Sunwell.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. So I'm here to,
Hold on. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Trying to find a PowerPoint. Give me a second. Okay, go.
So this is a first reading of board policy CH local, which pertains to the authority the board delegates to the superintendent to make purchases for goods or services. However, any single budgeted purchase or goods or service that costs $7,500 or more, regardless of whether the goods or services are competitively purchased, shall require board approval before a transaction may take place. The administration are proposing the change in the policy for any single purchase budgeted of goods or services that cost $7,500 or more to $25,000 or more.
Thank you, Dr. Sunwell. Here's the recommendation by administration. Again, first reading policy board CH local from purchasing acquisitions from 7,500 to 25,000. Any discussion?
Who brought this to the agenda? I did.
So if you recall, when we met with one of our consultants that has been doing a great job, Lori Cromwell, which has been doing a great job as far as, like I said a while ago, as far as team building is concerned, giving a little bit more autonomy to our superintendent. If you all recall, board, as we met in one of our, I think we had 3 sessions with Mr. Cromwell, 3 or 4. 3, lost track. Well, we had one more than one, which is good because it goes back to your team of 8. That was a recommendation I think we had thrown around as far as what a good number was. And again, her being a consultant, again, it's just her is that again, the majority of the districts throughout that she works with give about a $25,000. That's how the number 25,000 came. Again, I'm not saying it's concrete, always do something about it, but again, that's kind of where we're at and how it happens.
Right, she talked about a much larger number, and I remember thinking to myself, no, that's too high. I would say I'm okay with a fourth of it. So, and yeah, she said like 100 of it, and I said I'm okay with a fourth of it. Either way, the board will still get notified.
In terms of history, the number in board policy for many, many years was, I believe, 15,000. It got reduced several years ago to 10, and then I think further to 7,500. At the time that the board voted to reduce that, there were it was not the depth of the business office nor the superintendent's office that current time, I think that the board at that time just felt that more oversight in this area was needed at that time.
Corey brought that up. So
I'd like to make a motion.
that was your suggestion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the revision as proposed by the superintendent. And I'll go ahead and second it.
There's been a motion made by Mr. Brian Kufal to accept the new approval of the first reading of board policy CH local, going from 7,500 to 25,000. Mr. Brian Kufal again, second by Mr. Corey Garza. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Yes, sir.
So this gives the superintendent discretion to spend $25,000. $25,000, that's the top.
Without prior board
Without prior
approval
board approval.
and not going through by them.
Right.
Because
Not
by
going to my board's over. Right. So basically, it's the board bringing power for the balance.
That's correct, in my estimation.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I the only one that's still all fuzzy and warm inside? And even though I don't want to micromanage anyone, I just feel so much more comfortable once we go over and see the budget and approve one to make a decision to jump from that amount to another amount.
Again, very valid point, but I think that, we have, again, going back to what Brian's comments a moment ago, is there was a budget transition going on. That's why the number was reduced, but I think that we've seen a lot of transparency and we understand there's a money issue, but again, we're pretty much in the loop of everything that goes on. They come through email or phone calls. Any other discussion?
Mr. Gasser, we know what the procurement amount is already from the county before we gotta go out and procure for large purchases?
50, right?
50,000? Thank you, Dr.
Any other? None. We'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion before the board of accepting the omitting the 7,500 to 25,000, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Say nay. Motion carries 7-0. 7D, consider approval of memorandum of understanding between Coastal Bend School Credit Program and Kingsville ISD for the 2021-2022 school year, and it'll be found on page 84. Dr. Bettis and Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, President. The Coastal Bend College is currently asking that we continue our partnership with the district. And we as an administrative team are recommending that the district accept or approve the memorandum of understanding between Coastal Bend College and Kingsville ISD.
Mr. Any questions when it comes to?
I didn't see that when I read it. Is there any stipulations that hide the freshman classes, where we might have 25, 30, 45 kids taking class, that they'll send an instructor to us, whether it's us sending kids over there, especially the youngest ones, the freshmen?
I didn't see anything in the MOU.
Going back, way back in history, that was one of the selling points on having a college high school, was that the teachers would come to us, or we would have the kids wouldn't have to be the campus. It seems to me that if you've got a block of 25, 30, 40, 50 kids, it'd be a lot easier just to teach all 25 or 30. Yeah, just exclusively our kids in that class, especially the high density, rather than us having 30, 50, 45, 50 kids traipsing over there. And it can be done at we can work that out. I mean, a class is a class, a teacher is a teacher. Where does it matter where the class is instructed at? Especially those kind of classes. Or maybe it doesn't matter if we have our own teachers teach. I think they're early college high school, we have our own teachers. So it's kind of a non-issue there.
As far as teaching that my career course, we have teaching the core subjects later.
Well, I know that the Corey's referring to the Mike Cougars.
Yeah, he teaches that.
He teaches that. We don't have too many other than that. I have to look up the number.
Second thing is, and this is not related necessarily directly to this, but on they break down all the classes where they have requirements and the credits. They have your PEMS numbers. If the college class has the PEMS number, we award weighted credit for that class. I'll give you an example. We got one on personal growth and development. It's under special topics in social studies, first or second time. Is what they're producing in this document line up with what we have in our policy? It looks like just about everything they offer, marriage and family, that's considered a sociology course. So it's got a King's number.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's.
As long as it's a college course, but it has to be required for their high school diploma and then towards their associate's.
That is correct, Dr.
The
Pettis.
other thing is on the far side of the same chart, they have identified. We don't care when the kid takes the class, as long as the kid takes the class, right? I just kind of thought that was odd that they would identify when the classes would be taken.
Go with Colonel Price's question he asked earlier as well. What is the CDC minimum for number of students in the classroom?
I believe it's 6.
6? Okay. So if we were to say 12, if they have to come over to our building to teach it, that would be doubling the number of students that we're required to have to make profits.
Repeat that again, Mr. Coop.
Okay, if they have to have 6 students
Yes.
to have a class, and we say if you have 12 more, that they come over to our high school and teach our students in our building, then that would be giving them double the size of the class that they need to make profit.
Their counter argument is I can put 18 in my classroom because I got 6 and you're 12.
It doesn't matter. What they said is they need 6. So if we
Run the
have 6
class.
people.
Run the class.
Exactly.
And that's with our,
They'll teach one class with 18.
and that's with our instructor, Mr. Lucy. So
Certainly, but I'm just adding to what you were saying. You're asking for how many students do we have to have? Do we 20, 25? And I'm saying we can give them double. I mean, I'm trying to reach a number to say, not just throw out a number and throwing out something just to throw it out, but come out there, okay, say it's 18. Say it's 3 times the numbers that they can teach in class. I mean, honestly, a college class, they can teach 100.
I think those kids would be kids, people who still in the coastal bend as normal coastal bend students.
So are you asking, Mr. Lucy, that we increase the minimum from 6 to 12?
If we provide 18 students,
Should they bring an instructor to our
they
campus?
bring the instructor to campus.
Yeah, I see the point. That'd be great if they would. It's just, I think we should ask for it.
That's a good idea. We could discuss that with them.
And I don't think it should be 6. I mean, that's what I wanted to find out, was making sure that we weren't asking a number that was too low, but it was asking something that was reasonable. And I'll refer to you to negotiate what that is.
Any other questions? Okay, again, thank you, Dr. Sandoval. Again, motion for the board again is to approve the memorandum of understanding between Coastal Bend College and Dual Credit Program KI 2021-2022. I'll go ahead and make that motion again with Dr. Bettis and Dr. Sandoval to negotiate a number before the board signs the MOU.
I'll second.
Been moved in second. Again, any other discussion? Now we'll go proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Sandoval. Item 70, consider approval of second reading of board policy update 15. That can be found on page 109 of the board book. Dr. Sandoval.
All right, you guys, back on April the 27th, we did our first reading of update 115, board policy 115. Dr. Vasquez, can you pull up the, please?
Go ahead and travel to the different folder. Okay. Give me a second because it's on a different pen drive. Do something out here.
As recall, we are a 2-read district, so We are doing our second reading of update 115, and I think we had 11 different policies that were being added, edited, revised, or deleted in that update. Pertaining to Title IX, pertaining to FNG local. We covered various topics that we were having to take it and consider for updates. So at this time, these are the different updates that we're looking at 115. Again, some are being looked to be deleted, some are being revised, updated, or these are being included in the new policy. So at this time, take any questions you might have in regards to update. We can provide any answer that you may need in regards to these updates.
Here's my question. It's a subject that not this specific board, but points. I think this covers not just this one, but some other policies. Aggravating me, I bring it to your attention, whether we can address.
That's a cop out.
It also is a safe harbor, but it's also, and by that I mean, you could very easily get into a situation where you have a grievance filed, and for whatever reason, the board ended up with not a quorum, inability to get a quorum, inability for some kind of delay. It just ensures that a final decision is at least registered. I agree with you.
By the board, by the level 2.
I hear you, but it ensures that a board cannot prolong the process. Once it's done, there is a definitive date that a decision is entered, because this is the end. There are options available for grievance past our grievance process. And it is simply a safe harbor actually for the grievance to say there will be some finality at this date, regardless of, you could have decides, we're just not gonna, I'm just not gonna get a quorum together, or an inability to get a quorum together. and it to this. In my experience, we have never had a situation where a decision was not by the board.
I just don't like it. That that's even an option. It shouldn't even be an option. We're the ones talking transparency. We're the ones talking about, you have your right to hear before the board, submit your grievance, make your argument. And we have an obligation to render a decision. We are sitting in positions of judgment here. Not necessarily as board members, we're sitting in this judgment. And assumption is that if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. The decision should follow as such. I won't do this as a vote here, but I would like to see that on the agenda in the future. So we can, again, this board can decide on it.
So what I can tell you is as the school year is coming to a close, Dr. Benson will be setting some agenda items, because I know it's dear to a lot of people on the board, a lot of policy changes. And again, we'll be having probably a workshop when it comes to that, along again with meeting with our legal, along with our consultant, to do again what's right, not only for students, but only our staff. Just to let you know.
Just to let you guys know, we are in the process of doing an audit with TASB in regards to our local policy. So if that's something that you want to look at and probably propose, Lieutenant Colonel, that might be an option that we might be able to consider.
I think that's nice that they're doing it for Kingsville Independent School District, or not other districts. I think you really need to be specific too.
And TASB, to be honest, TASB is the homework. They write policy to a distinct advantage to a school board or a school district's advantage. And in something like this, it's got to be equitable.
See, I see it exactly opposite. I see it as setting a timeline for the board having to make a decision.
Then let's make a decision within the timeline. In the timeline, we
We
make
make
a decision, not the level two finder.
Well, okay, I'm just like a regular person on the road. If you don't get an answer, and at the next regular meeting, that's pretty much know whether they said yes or no. So it's time to lawyer up. That's the way
It's
you like
time
it.
it's time for the school board to step up.
Well, you'd expect that, but we want to,
Step up. Don't give them the out.
cover our own behind as
Well,
well.
I can make a yes/no decision. Every one of us can make a yes/no decision. So make it. You were elected to make decisions. Make them.
I just would like it to transparency to be when someone asks for everything open session. You know, open session.
And again, those are great things we've been talking about.
I agree, because there are some items that cannot be handled in open session.
I do want to say something about this. It kind of makes me wonder what the process is as far as filing your grievance for anyone off the building. There's language taken out that helps that person navigate the grievance process. And that's the problem for me. I don't know if it's a problem for anybody.
No, and I'll take a step in being proactive. Dr. Bettis and I spoke to legal as far as having to actually going to be doing a Zoom call with staff to go over PIAs and et cetera, et cetera. But again, we'll talk about that in executive. But again, just to keep everybody as far as abreast of what's going on. But again, there has been the actually has presented the second reading of board policy update 115. Is there a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the TASB recommendation to add, delete, or amend as presented as our second reading.
First second, I'll go ahead and second that motion. Okay, a motion has been made by Mr. Brian Kufel. The second reading of board policy by adding, amending, deleting. Any discussion?
Okay, my question about this is, if we agree to the changes that the TASB is suggesting and make the amendments, does this mean that how long are we, how soon can we look at these changes?
Next meeting. Remember, these again, we could make policy again. These are at the end.
That's what I want to make sure.
And that's why I mentioned earlier, school year, is winding down. I know again, it's dear to you because, it's not the board rep. And as the school year is winding down, trying to get everybody with the whole star workshop to go over most of the policies that you block. People who are local with our consulting team, with Cromwell, along with Mr. Nick Maddox, Mr. Hammond, and Christy Godin to go over again some of these updates that y'all, policies y'all may have. Again, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Again, motion carries on a 6-1. Item 7F, approval, consider approval of waiver of tuition for training. Page 162, Dr. Sandoval.
You guys have a waiver of tuition for a transfer student that is coming to a Bishop, CIC. Parent has requested a hardship transfer so that the request for tuition be waived or the tuition cost be waived by the district. Before you have, the parent's handwritten statement of why they requested it. And I don't want to go into the specifics on that, but read that then and make a decision based on whether.
This is a very common practice that does happen. Where a student from a different people actually do this.
They normally have these.
Right. Usually everyone, I move that the waiver be approved as recommended. There's a second. If there's a motion, again, is there any discussion?
Mr. President, may I say something?
Absolutely.
The action that's on the floor, it involves a family member, and I can attest that there is accepting any transfer students that want to come our way to take them, I just will be abstaining from this one.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, for your transparency. And there's a motion in front of the board to accept the waiver. The tuition of the transfer student, been moved and second. Again, any further discussion? No, proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye. Say nay. We have one abstain. Motion carries on 6-0 with one abstain. Item 7G, consider approval of request for proposal 2021. Page 170.
We are required to go out for requests for proposals every 4 years for depository. We can sign for a 2-year biennium period with an option for a 2-year extension if we choose to do that, but we have already used our 2-year extension, so we are again required to go out for. So this would start September 1 all the way to August 30th of 2023. At the end of that period, we would have the option of extending for 2 more years. If you see the bottom of page 172 in your board packet, it shows the criteria that we would use to evaluate the proposals, with half of 50% being for the cost of services. And if you look at page 173, it talks about the timeline. We would post the proposal in the paper later on this week. The actual announcement would be in the newspaper, in the Kingsville Record, in the Corpus Christi Caller-Times, and then the proposal would be posted on our website on Thursday. And at this time, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. It's the recommendation by the administration. Again, consider approval of request for proposal depository contract 2021 up to 2023. Is there a motion? Any current credits or second?
I'll second.
Ms. Elizabeth Ramos. Any discussion? Accept the consider approval of request for proposals for the depository contract 2021-2023. Say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item 7H, consider approval of Aetna School Employee Guidance Program to be found on page 176 of the board book.
This program offers support to our employees and their dependents. We know that we've been going through unprecedented times, And there is more need for support, more than ever, for our employees and for their dependents as well. The cost for this program is per employee per month, $1.6850 per employee per month. The services that it provides are up to 6 different sessions per individual, either by televideo, by phone, or in person. Also up to 4 workshops a year where they will come and present group presentations to our employees. And then, of course, 24/7 access as well to articles, self-assessments, videos, and so on. I will take any questions that you have.
I have asked for us to look into this because I know a lot of our students are going through a lot of time, or because of COVID. Our teachers are too. It's been a very, very stressful year that I wanted us to be able to have something to offer to our teachers and staff. Some sort of social emotional support. I know several districts do this and at no cost to the employees. And since we can, I believe, utilize our flexible, maybe spending money, it's not going to cost us more. We have the money to do it.
Oh, so the employee.
No, well, the district would pick up 9,600.
Excess money. Do you want to explain that?
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's excess. It's money that's there that we can use only.
so Aetna has credits that we can use is the best way to explain it. Like they gave us a $25,000 fee credit for one thing. This is another series of credits that we can only use for.
I think it's excellent. I'm surprised it was not included.
No, the employees who have Aetna do have that ability to do that, to get those services.
This should be across.
This is anybody. And then let's say we're worried about a staff member that may be under extreme mental anguish right now and can't fulfill their duties, and we need them as a support from us. We would say, you know what, we want to help you, and this would be some way to help them.
This is not limited only to those people who purchased the district's insurance.
This would be every employee and their dependents.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Again, your recommendation by the administration is in regards to the school guidance program. Chairman Price, for a second. Ms. Elizabeth Ramos. Discussion?
Yeah, I was wondering if we can possibly get the numbers from this program and kind of decide based on maybe feedback time. It would be nice to know how many people are actually using this. Is there any way that you can calculate for that when it comes back in August 31st, 2020?
We definitely can do that. Yes.
Try, yeah. So confidential that,
My only hesitation there is that if for any reason it feels like they're going to count it, it might chill their desire to do it.
I would go. Personally, I would do it. If it was reported, but not reported, then I have no reason for me not. But I would.
I think maybe that we ask the employees, is this something that you desire to have? And what you know of the company. And even if they see it as something that they could
Is that a reimbursement that we can get from possibly the ESSER funding?
That definitely would align, but I don't think we'll even have to use them because, again, part of our contract with Aetna was we would have $10,000 to go to program, whatever we wanted to use those credits for. So we shouldn't have, this shouldn't be a charge to the district.
Any other discussion? If there's a motion in front of the board, made by Chairman Price, seconded by Mr. Ramos, to approve the Etna School Employee Guidance Program. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Item number 8, board will enter 551.071 and 551.074 to deliberate. 8A, consider resignations of contracted employees. 8B, consider employment of contracted personnel, special ed director. 8. Closed session at approximately 8:30. You cannot be having those, sir.
We're gonna have to consider stipends. I need to hire somebody to get my bar for me.
All right. We now return to open session to take necessary action on matters the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are now returning to open session at approximately 9:14 p.m. 9:14. 9:14 p.m. isn't it? I got 9:14 on my clock.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Item 8A, Dr. Bettis.
The following named personnel have submitted their resignations or retirement letters. Romeo Michael, Special Education Coordinator, Dr. Elva Davila, Director of Special Education. Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the resignation and the retirement of the two individuals.
Thank you, Dr. Bettis. You heard the recommendation of our superintendent, Dr. Bettis, again to approve the resignation and the retirement of the both employees that you mentioned. Is there a motion? So by Mr. Brian Kufal, second by Mr. Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8B. Dr. Pettis.
Kingsville ISD administration prepares a list of employment for board approval. Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the following contracted employee presented. Dr. Ada Bessanides for the Special Education Director to replace Dr. Elva Davila.
So moved. You heard the recommendation by the superintendent. Again, it's been moved, motion made by Mr. James Lucy. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Delma Salinas. Discussion? All those in favor of approving the recommendation by the superintendent hiring the new personnel director, the personnel ed, contracted special ed director, sorry. Let me start over again. There's been a, exactly. Anyway, again, item 8B is to approve the consideration of the special ed director. It's been moved and seconded by Mr. James Lucy, seconded by Ms. Delma Salinas. Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries on 7-0. There being no other further discussion at this time, I move this meeting be adjourned at 9:16.
Thank you.
Muted.